to say that as I go through the agenda, I will ask for a motion and a second on the agenda items requiring a vote. I will then allow questions only as it relates to the current agenda item under consideration using the microphone. Persons using the microphone must first state their first and last name and their lot numbers. Then I will call for a vote. Socorro, tienen las voces muy altas. Socorro, están hablando muy fuerte. The vote will be, then I will call for a vote. The vote will be taken by show of hands or ballot. When the meeting is adjourned, I will open the floor for questions. All questions will be made using the microphone in the center of the floor. In order to be fair and provide an opportunity for the most people present to access the microphone, the speaker will be limited to either one statement or one question, with an option for one follow-up question. If the same speaker wishes another turn at the microphone, they must go to the end of the line, so just take another turn. I will proceed with the installment of the assembly. In accordance with Article 49 of the Rules and Regulations, the required notice was mailed to all owners of the Association of Condominiums La Ventana del Mar. In accordance with Article 49, Section F, I will preside the assembly in representation of the administration and designate Mrs. Socorro Gomez as Secretary of the Assembly. At this time, I will select the clerks from the audience. The only requirement is that the clerk be a owner who resides at the ranch in order to be able to sign the necessary paperwork after the meetings. Can I have a show of hands? Who would like to be offered himself like a clerk for the meeting? I need two persons, please. Mr.
Hey, Hapka. Hey, Hapka.
Hank Hapka. Socorro, can you take the name of Mr. Hank, please? And the second person, please. We need two clerks. Okay, there is the lady over there. Okay, Socorro will take your names. Thank you very much for offering yourself. Is the third row from the back, the lady in the black shirt?
Oh, no. Oh, no, she said no.
Oh, no, she doesn't want to be. We still need another person who can help us there. I just got one person now. Well, okay, Jack Gavin offers himself. Thank you very much, Jack. Okay. The next thing is to establish the quorum. At 10 a.m. at first call, we have not reached the quorum. We will wait for the second call in 15 minutes. Thank you for being here. She is giving them to me.
Can you say the requirements again? Can you say the requirements again?
It's just to be a resident at the ranch and be in good status, so you're paying your dues, your dues, assessments, fines, whatever it is there in the lot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we'll wait for another 15 minutes. Thank you very much. Owners 14, proxies 2, for a total of 16. Developer votes 186, for a total of 202. Right. This is the second call. We haven't met quorum yet. Can I have the numbers, Socorro? Wait for her to give me the number before we go for the third call.
Well, good, there's no increase in HOA.
Okay, the second call is 23 owners and the 2 proxies, so that's 25. Still the developer is 186, so it becomes a total of 211. We'll go for the third call in 50 minutes, please. Socorro, tenemos el último número, por favor. Okay, the third call, the final number we have is 23 owners, 2 proxies, 25, developer 186, so the final number is 211 for a percentage of 27.02. Total active client is owners 781. All right, so we have a quorum right now. We will proceed to the recalling of the General Assembly. So now this assembly is called to order. The next item in the agenda is to approve the November 2016 Ordinary Assembly meeting minutes as recorded in Mexicali and posted in the HOA website. So it has been there since last year. Everybody has had the opportunity to go and review it. Yes. We'll put the lower, the volume higher. Is better? Okay. Very well. So, do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Yes, Michael? Motion. Second? Discussion? Yes? No. Those in favor? To approve the minutes? Those not in favor? Okay, the motion is approved. I would like to introduce your current supervisors at Ventana del Mar, who is Mrs. Denise Lavin and Hans Walshut, and I want to thank them for their enthusiastic participation and commitment into the committee. It's very, very rewarding to have you working here, like volunteers. Now, Mrs. Denise Lavin will present the supervisory committee report. Would you please?
Okay, good morning, everybody. It's nice to see so many of you here. It would be nice if we have more, but we like who's here. And I'm presenting to you kind of the state of what's going on in La Ventana del Mar during this last year and what's going to be transpiring in the future. And this report is, even though I'm the mouthpiece, it's been worked on by both Hans and I. So I want you to know. Thank you. All right, our report will have these items. Basic information on La Ventana, what our supervisors' responsibilities are, the overall status, and then we'll finish up with the budget and collections and audits and all of that information. A lot of this you've heard before, but some people, it may be your first meeting, so I want to make sure that you understand what's going on, okay? La Ventana del Mar is a not-for-profit organization, so we can't make money. It's composed of 830 La Ventana lots, that's when they're all registered, not all of them are registered as yet, and 300 Las Villas condominiums. Las Villas is not a separate corporation. It is a community with its own budget for things like roof repairs and painting and all of that, but they are a part of La Ventana del Mar, and they pay their indiviso interest, their portion, just like we pay our indiviso interest for the community. Their amount budgeted for Las Villas for this year is $109,144. Okay, La Ventana del Mar provides services to Las Villas, and that's why they're contributing to La Ventana del Mar budget. We provide management, accounting, audit, insurance, security. We maintain the entry facility, the boulevard, the roads, and provide provide beach access. We also provide the Palapa pools and any of the activities that are there. And we provide electricity and water at the common areas outside of the villa's general maintenance. Okay, the number of dues-paying members or lots in La Ventana del Mar right now is registered at 577 owners in the system that have a dues obligation. At the time of budget planning, we had 191 owners that were delinquent. And that leaves us 386 owners that will be responsible for the dues for 2018. Now, just so you know that, as we get more people paying dues, then we get more money, of course. When we plan our budget, we do it in the summertime based on the July 30th numbers. Well, as of the September 30th numbers, we are down to 182 delinquent members, so from 191 to 182. So we picked up some members coming in. And I'd like to just say our collections department has been amazing. They have been getting people to pay their past dues, and they've been getting people to come back in and become a part of the community, which will then have regular paying dues. So that's a real positive. Okay, as supervisors, we're elected, and our responsibilities are really, they're outlined in Chapter 7 in the, and Section 24 of the Rules and Regulations. We have the oversight of the administrator, so we watch to see that he's doing all the things he's supposed to do. We review the monthly financials and operational reports. We report to the General Assembly, and that's what's happening right now. And just so you know, we don't have any management authority. We can't go in and say, okay, you better go do this. We are advisory, and I will say that we have very good communication, and so a lot of the things that we say do get taken care of. The supervisors evaluate these monthly reports. The spending versus the budget, and you guys all received a copy of the summary of the budget, so we look at it in detail and make sure how we're spending. And incidentally, if you're interested, that detailed budget is on the website. We look at how much cash we have in the bank. That's kind of handy to know. We look at the status of current and delinquent accounts, and like I just said before, we've improved in the number of delinquencies, so that's something we monitor on a regular monthly basis. We look at the status of past due accounts and the cash flow projection till the end of the year. And as I said, all of these reports are on the website, so you can go there to find them. Again, there you go. All right, one of the things, next slide, that we have worked on is communications. The supervisors have on both sides of the road, so to speak, at EDR, La Ventana, and Las Villas, have all worked together to provide open and timely communication. Number one is our responsibility reporting at the annual meeting. Then we have combined Supervisors Committee online newsletter. And those are to all the people that have email addresses. And we're finding there are some people that don't have email addresses that just, if they're like my husband, they don't like the computer. Our computer has a name, but I can't tell you because it's a bad word. Anyhow, if you want to receive it, please let the ladies at the desk know and they can get you signed up if you have an email. If not, you can go over to the HOA office and get a hard copy. Okay. And our town hall meetings that our administrator puts together for us. And we also respond to Ask Your Supervisor. Whenever you have a question that's on the website and you want to ask a supervisor a question, it comes to the supervisors, and then we put together an answer to respond to you. Okay. We've also worked on HOA internal communications. Both EDR and La Ventana have worked together to better utilize resources for both communities. We've worked with the developer also to obtain financial assistance and to get help from the developer with some of the resources. And I'll talk a little bit more about both of those later. So, what is the overall status? Based on our review of the monthly financials, the operational reports, all those things I told you we looked at, Roberto Islas and his staff have effectively managed our budget with decreasing income, and they've been excellent in identifying ways to reduce and control costs. If you don't know Lalo Garcia, Eduardo Garcia back there, our financial manager, is a whiz with money, and he watches every little peso so that we know where it goes. And then we have Ricardo over here, who does Perez, who makes sure that the maintenance crew is doing all the things that they're supposed to do on a limited amount of money. They have open and transparent communication with the supervisors, and they have also had the open communication with the town hall meetings. Okay, let's take a look what's gone on. The HOA has concentrated on many projects to improve and maintain our community. A lot of these, if you've been to the town hall meetings, you've probably seen them. So I'm going to whiz through them, but I want you to see what these guys have been able to do with declining income. Okay. They're working on the perimeter fence. They take a section of the fence, they sandblast it down, then they repaint it, and they reinstall it. I figure by the time I'm in my grave for 20 years, they might get back to where I am, but they are making progress, moving along, getting the fence repainted. Okay. They have chains and ropes on the beach. The ropes are there to keep people out. The chains are there so you can open up if somebody has an off-road vehicle and needs to get out onto the beach. In addition, next slide, we have repaired the large gate, which is used to open up to get vehicles on. Like when we have the full moon mixer and they bring the hot dog guy down, he has to go through that gate. So if you saw some of the pictures, it was rusted and probably wouldn't have taken much more than a strong wind to blow it over. So they've repaired it so it's now back and very sturdy. Okay. In addition, they have removed rubble. Whenever they have to replace anything with concrete, sometimes walkways get cracked and we don't want to leave them there so somebody will trip on them. They have rubble. So they've been removing any of the rubble that's been left around from previous projects. Okay. They've done a beautiful job of installing wall tiles in the Palapa bathroom area, inside and out. Okay. They've also put in a new drain in the Palapa bathroom so that that functions much nicer. And in addition to that, they've added at Palapa locks for the storage area by where the guard checks you in. And we have our own water cooler now, like we used to have when Palapa was the main pool. Okay. They have restored or repaired the ceiling, the roofs, not the ceilings. The ceilings are inside. The roofs of both the maintenance building and the bathrooms at La Palapa, so that it will, have those buildings lasting a lot longer. We've done lots of road maintenance. As you can see, we had a little bit of water. It does rain here, usually in the summer, and then we get some in the winter. And after it rains, then we have kind of lots of water standing that produces lots of potholes. So they have to grade the roads. Now, remember earlier when I was talking to you about the communications and sharing resources. What's happened, this is how it was in September with the big rains. The developer has provided us the red dirt to put on the road. EDR has a road grader. We don't own a road grader. So they let us use the road grader to grade our roads. So that's what we've worked on this past year, is had several meetings, but we're trying to be able to share resources so that we don't have to duplicate them. Okay? Also, Roberto was driving around one day, and he says, "Good heavens, I couldn't see you when a golf cart was coming down. It's just right out here." So he decided, and I think, thank you, that he leveled, brought down the height of where the golf carts come through. Because I know when I play golf, which is like twice a year, and I come off there, it's like, is there a car coming? You know, because it's close to the corner, and it just whips around. So he's taken that upon himself to make sure it gets done. And I will say, Roberto and his crew go out and drive the whole ranch every Saturday. And they come back in with lists of things to do, and that's kind of where the golf course thing came from. Okay. And we've been able to purchase a lot of things. We have wheelbarrows and hammers and shovels and a centrifugal force pump for the Palapa pool. And our gardener loves the prune shears. We have a welder, we have drills, we have grinders, and tires for the water truck. And we've done a joint project with EDR. This is a multi-year project with EDR and a little help from our pickleball friends. They donated $3,000 to help convert the Palapa tennis courts to pickleball. And they will be ready. This is a little bit older picture. They do have fences up now. But the courts will be ready for the international tennis tournament that is I'm a tennis player, sorry. The international pickleball tournament that's scheduled March 9th through March 11th. So you'll see lots of people down here, and if you're a pickleball player, make sure you get involved. Okay. Our security department is something that we're very concerned about, is making sure that we can protect you and keep all of us safe. So in case of emergency, that's the number for security. Okay? Our security department is backed up by San Felipe Police and Fire Department. Our security team is trained to be first responders, and they are equipped with proper tools and equipment to come out and assess a situation. And then they will make a decision and call the appropriate organization, be it BMC, Cruz Roja, or the police. So that's what security is there for. Call them first and they'll help. Now, the supervisors also get monthly reports, and we review the violations, things that, you know, people have done that they're not supposed to be doing, like riding their cars on the golf course. We review incidents that maybe somebody has loud music going late at night, you know, those kinds of things. And we also look at the Cruz Roja incidents. So we're aware of what's going on here in the community. Okay. Now, the budget. Yes?
You need a Red Cross incident, Cruz Roja?
Yes, we get a list of all the times that Cruz Roja has come here and what they've done. Okay? All right, along with management and the supervisors have reviewed each line item in the budget. We also reviewed capital expenditures for next year. At this point in time, we've identified what they are, but we don't have money allocated in the budget for it. So we're hoping we get an increase in dues and dues payers, not dues, so that we can be more able to do some of the things that we need with the capital expenditure money. Our budget last year was based on an exchange rate of 17.75. When we built our budget, we built it at 17.5 to 1, 17.5 pesos to 1. The money comes into us in dollars mostly, and we pay out in pesos. So that exchange rate is a real benefit to us. When we built the budget, we built it at 17.5. Lately, the peso has been going up. I went last Wednesday and out of the ATM, I got 18.57. Someone else was saying that they got 19. So that's a benefit to us because it helps us improve our buying power. Now, our employees also are faced with the conversion, and they need a little help when inflation hits, because we have a 6% inflation here in Mexico, and their buying power goes when the peso changes. So we've increased their salary by 8%, and the good news, we have determined that there will be no increase in assessment to the homeowners in La Ventana del Mar. The assessment will stay the same as it did last year. Now, the budget. La Ventana dues, we project we will collect $692,423. As I said before, from Las Villas, we're going to have $109,144. Forecasted collections is $95,000. So far this year, we have collected 61,000, but we still have a quarter to go on that. TRC fees, we're projecting at $9,000, and resort fees $5,000. So let me go and spend a little time talking about these. Next slide. Okay, the delinquency collections has been a real priority for us this year, and as I said before, it has helped us in our budget to make things work. We have multiple collection actions, and then we have an on-site, and we also have an office in Mexicali that does collections for us. Okay. This year we're budgeted to collect $95,000. And so far, as of September 30th, we've collected $62,185.10. So we're coming along. We do estimate that we can collect $95,000 again next year. And what we're finding is, as I said earlier, the collections department is collecting back dues, but they're also getting people to come back and become active members. So we may, at some point we'll get all that we can in back dues collected, but we'll have more people coming back, so our dues base will go up. Okay? Okay, the TRC fee is collected for construction and additions. This year, TRC collected so far, this year's budget was $5,000 and our next year's is $9,000. We've had several additions and improvements have made. There were 2 homes that were started this year, and we had 2 homes completed last year. One of those was a home that sat vacant for 4,379 gazillion years. And we thought it would never be completed, and they completed it and did a wonderful job. Okay. We've collected in TRC so far $6,912, so we figured that with people coming back and building, that we'll be able to collect $9,000 by next year. Okay, the resort, it was instituted in October 2014. It was designed to cover the additional cost burdens of renters using the facilities. It's paid by the renter. When they come in, they go to a guest relations office, they get their bracelets, and based on the manifest that the property management sends, they get so many bracelets, and then they pay their guest relations fee. It's projected that for the year, from both sides of the road, we will collect $100,000 in resort fees. 50% of that will be split between the seaside, La Ventana and Las Villas, and EDR. Okay? Now, this is based upon both sides' costs for things like pools, security, road maintenance, water trucks, and what have you. Remember when I told you that the HOA and the developer were meeting and talking and communicating on resources? Well, we were talking about shared costs, things that both sides are paying for, things that affect both sides. This is one of those results of that discussion, or those discussions. It was about 8 meetings. Pool usage, just so you know, owners, renters, children, and guests. We have them categorized that way. So far this year at La Palapa, we've had 19,594 people using the pool. Last year, at the end of the year, we had 12,291 people using the pool. So we're seeing an increase in pool usage. So far, of the 19,000, 16,272 are renters and children. The remaining 3,322 are owners and guests. Security personnel, we've had an increase in cost for security. In 2016, La Ventana's budget was $94,091. In 2018, it's $101,361. EDR's budget is $563,493 in 2016 and is up to $623,673 for this next year. Las Villas was $24,359 in 2016 and $24,800 for this next year. As I said before, La Ventana del Mar does not have a road grader, so when the roads need to be graded, and you saw that they do need to be graded occasionally, we depend on EDR for the equipment. And we also have been, okay, do you want to go back? Yeah. And we also, on that slide, we also have been very thankful to the developer for providing us the red dirt to do our roads. Also, La Ventana has 2 water trucks that hauls away the sewage, the wastewater, the black water. And when it's very busy here, like race weekend, Shrimp Festival weekend, those trucks are going to be going non-stop. 2 trucks wouldn't make it, and one of those trucks is old. So we use the water trucks from EDR. We pay for the diesel, but they pay for the maintenance and allow us to use them. So those are the kinds of things that we've worked on as the 2 communities to make sure that we can cost share. Okay? Okay, with the renters, the use of the sewage treatment, I'm shedding. It's so nice to have an assistant. Okay, we know that the sewage treatment plant has increased drastically. The administration has decided that the bulk of the resort fee will be used to offset the $116,304 STP budget for 2018. $40,000 of the $50,000 that will go to this side of the road will be spent on sewage treatment plant. 76,304 will be split, the remaining amount, between Las Villas and La Ventana del Mar. Okay. Each budget will receive another $5,000 of resort fee. Okay, just a second. It has also been determined that the developer's operations, you're sitting in one of his operations, with the restrooms and, all of the restaurants, his La Palapa restaurant, the engineering building, and all of that, that they use approximately 8% of the total STP facility. Okay. Just a second. Will you go back, please? So as a result of that, we met and have talked about that as well. Just so you know, in terms of rentals, because rentals does generate a lot of the income for sure, but it also generates a lot of the usage. In 2012, our sewage treatment plant costs were $61,178. This year it's projected to end the year at $108,348, and as I've said before, it's projected to be $116,304 for next year. The bulk of the renters on this side of the road are from the condos. La Ventana has 11 rentals, or 16% of the current total of rentals. Las Villas has 111 rentals, or 46% of the total rentals. That's both sides total rentals. EDR has 46 rentals. And just so you can put that in perspective, we have 70 homes that are completed here in La Ventana, and there are 240 completed condos. And of those 70 homes, we have 2 more coming, so we'll be 72 next year. Okay, next slide. All right, as I said to you before, the developer was involved in the meetings on cost sharing. And part of that, wait a second, his company is CAM, that's Compañía Administradora de México, and we just call it CAM. And when it comes to time to pay it, we say we gotta pay our CAM. It's basically, that is a fee that we pay to the developer's company for managing us. It's like a property management company that in the United States, you hire someone to help manage your HOA. Then you elect people to oversee that, but you have to have somebody that has to do the nuts and bolts day to day. And they provide us, Roberto and the staff. So they charge us a 15% fee of all of our dues. Okay? La Ventana owes, as of the August 2017, and I don't think it's changed any, $560,179 in back year's CAM dues. Now, this year in our meetings, the developer will give CAM credit of 8% for the cost of STP. So he's willing to pay his share for his facilities for 2017, 2018, and 2019. And that's, for this year, it's about $8,600, but it's a help. And I do want to say, just all the slides there, this is not a part of what we're responsible for, but in addition to that, the developer is going to be working with us on the golf assessment and giving us credit for our payments to the golf assessment. And I know Hans Wildschutt has long said that's what we should have done, and Hans was the one that did the initial negotiating that then got turned over to the golf committee to do the final haggling and back and forth and to get the actual final contract. But of that, through our meetings and through private negotiations with Gary Lambert, we were able to negotiate that the golf fee will also go towards our CAM credit. And that will be for 3 years as well. And if you do that out at about the average of what credit La Ventana gets for the golf fee, by the end of those 3 years, we'll only owe about $100,000 instead of $560,000. So that's a good thing. Okay. This is our BMC contract. Every once in a while, like once or 7 times a week, we hear comments about BMC. And people are wondering about the contract and what's going to go on. So let me give you just a quick overview about it. It was negotiated by a committee made up of Steve Kimmey, who was the EDR lead, Bob Miller, who was an EDR supervisor, but not a member of the normal BMC committee. Thank you. Ed Jones, who is also a member of the BMC committee, and Hans Wildschutt represented us, and he's a member of the BMC committee, so he goes to all those meetings and has our interests at heart. And also by Roberto Islas, the administrator. Okay. The business proposal that was negotiated was sent to the administrator. Now, the administrator, and this is our sub-administrator, so to speak, Roberto. He's our high honcho here, but in terms of the whole organization, Jesus Olmos is the top administrator. So that contract goes to Jesus Olmos, who then reviews it, checks it out, and then if it's approved, we'll sign it. Okay? The developer's not involved. Now, Pat knows the guys that run BMC, but he was not involved. And when they tried, Steve Kimmy said this, that to talk to Pat, Pat says, nope, go to the committee. So, Pat, thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, so let's look at what the process was. They began by taking a survey. At the General Assembly meeting in 2016, you probably got a short survey. You know, do you like BMC, don't you? You know, that kind of thing. Then, as we came in and did our registration this year, they had a much more involved survey that asked you, you know, what services have you used? How did those work for you? What services would you use? How much do you think you should pay for the BMC? And most people ended up saying about $10. And incidentally, for as many people that say they hated BMC, we looked at the numbers, and percentage-wise, it was 85% said, yes, we want BMC. The committee developed a 10-year medical services architecture. And I don't have this slide on it, but it has everything from Wheels on Meals to urgent care services, which is what we currently have. Telemedicine, that, you know, they're working on doing those things. That's part of the plan. Okay? They reached out to other providers. They went to Amater in Mexicali and to our local doctors to get input to make sure, you know, are you interested in helping us? Well, they didn't want to help us too much, but they gave us input, which was fine. Okay? They also employed Sharp Medical as a consultant. Sharp Medical is very big in Southern California. It also has a big presence in Ensenada and Tijuana. So they're not real thrilled about coming to San Felipe, but they were very good about being an advisory person. Okay? So, what were the requirements that they said they had to have to make this contract work? No fixed price contract. That's what we've had, that we owe so many dollars. We didn't want that. BMC payments had to be tied to a number of dues-paying owners. So, if we have larger number of dues-paying owners, they'll get more money. If our dues-paying owners go down, they won't get as much money. Okay? And the contract is to have an explicit listing of BMC deliverables, what they will do. Okay? And reporting to the HOA on how the money is being spent. So what exactly is going on, who's going, that kind of thing. Okay? The amendment details. And this is, the contract is a 10-year extension of the existing contract. It is an amended contract. So we have the same contract, but we made changes to the existing contract. And those changes are, payments will be based on an estimated number of dues-paying owners. Okay? It will be fixed on a monthly rate, so each month if we have more dues-paying owners, we owe more. If it's less, we owe less. A reconciliation will be done 2 years after this, once the actual number of dues-paying owners has been determined. Okay? No escalation of the rate over the life of the contract. So that means the price that we have locked in stays for 10 years per dues-paying owner. Okay? Right now, what the contract has been negotiated at is $9 per dues-paying owner plus EVA, and EVA is usually 16%. If we had the same contract, we would be paying $10.13 plus EVA per dues-paying owner. So we've saved some money here. Okay? So what are some of the details? Copays. The copay for owners here that are in good standing is $10. Okay. Thank you. With an increase of a max of $3 per year. So it could be, next year they could say, we're going to charge a copay of $13. And it is capped at $25. So through the 10-year period, the highest that your copay will be is $25. Okay? You have to be a current HOA card holder with the little sticker on the back that has the current year. That means you paid your dues. So if you go to BMC and you want to be treated and you want the copay, you have to produce your card. If you forgot your card at home, it's $30. If you're a non-dues paying owner, you pay $30. If you're from Pete's Camp, you pay $30. If you are a member in good standing and you have your card with you, it's only $10. Okay? Added part of the contract is if either side has an issue, they have a 60-day time to negotiate and try to rectify any problems before they cancel the contract. Okay? They have removed the 3 visits per year restriction. I know my grandson came down. He got stung by a stingray, so we went there. That was 1 visit. My husband got pneumonia, and he went there a couple times. That was 3 visits in 1 year. So it's a good thing I was healthy that year, because otherwise I'd be paying. Okay? It's unlimited visits for owners, visiting family, and guests. So if you have guests staying with you, you have family, you know, like when my grandkids come down, they're all covered unlimited for that $10 copay. And you don't have any limit on how many times. Okay? It's also unlimited for long-term renters and visiting family and guests. There's also a stipulation for a quarterly report. This is what I was talking about earlier. And it will include information on all patient visits, count multiple visits by the same person. And they want to know what was the visit for, regardless of the reason or who the patient was. Total number of dues paying patient visits, so that way we can find out how many were using it from Pete's Camp, how many from other places versus how many of our own, okay? A breakdown of what services were provided. The number and reason of after-hour calls, how many of those have you had, all right? Did a physician have to be physically present? That. Then information on dues payers. This is kind of, you know, all the statistical stuff. You can go through all of these. Number of males, number of females, all that kind of thing, so that we get a sense of what are the needs of our community. Okay? Now, what are they going to give us since they're getting our money? Let's see. Comprehensive office visits, physician or nurse, or EMT. Open and offered 7 days a week. X-rays, and you can just whiz through these. These are all digital X-rays, and just so you know, they are stored in a cloud in the United States, so they fall under the HIPAA requirements, so they are confidential. Okay, you can just go quickly, there's a bunch of them. Same thing, ultrasound, you can just whiz through those too. And these are by appointment only. As you're looking at that, you probably see some of the things that you would want. Interventions that they would do for wound cleaning and dressing, corneal abrasions, sutures, foreign object removal, all of those kinds of things. Thank you. Next one. Injections. See all those, you'll probably find, you know, maybe your B12 shot up there or something, flu shot. Other respiratory therapy, going through all those quick. cardiopulmonary emergency. All of those things are included. Support services, where you can get your blood pressure, your EKG, all of those. Yes?
Is all this done in the local infirmary?
It is, the tests are done, but then the, like blood tests and that kind of thing, they send them out to be, go to the lab. But yeah, they do them here. Okay? Yes? Hans, do you know, is there a list for the cost of the tests?
Yeah, there is.
Yes, there is, and I don't have it, but I'm sure that we can get it at BMC.
Yeah, I mean, there is a list for each one of them.
You were shown it the last HOA meeting, I think it's on the site somewhere.
It could be on the website, because I know Steve had that slide.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the audit for 2016 is done and complete, and we did well. And thank you, Alex. And they are in English and Spanish and posted on the website. That's it for me. And so to keep the meeting going, I'll allow questions for 5 minutes. And after that, then Roberto's got stuff to say. Yes?
Just two. You mentioned the collection team, the in-house collection team, and I know at least one person that might be interested in that. Who should be contacted, and does in-house mean it's a resident or the office or wherever they're calling from is physically here on the ranch and our expenses paid, such as phone bill and that sort of thing?
I'm going to let Roberto handle that because he knows more about it.
The collection office is right here. It is located where it was the old Armac office going down to the beach. Remember the left side where the car wash used to be, next to it. And the person to contact is Connie. She's the manager of collections. Usually what we do is we don't hire the person directly. They work on commission.
Right.
So it's not in our permanent pay role. It's just if they collect money. If not,
How does someone get in touch with Connie? Is she in the office down there?
yes, she's at the office from Monday to Friday, business hour from 9 to 5.
Okay.
And that's Connie Estrada.
Wait, I forgot my second question, but
And then we'll bring it back to you.
My name is Virginia. When you talk about delinquent fees being
Can you hold it close? You have to hold the microphone like you're going to swallow it.
sorry, does that include the golf assessment, which I hear, you know, a nice person, but I hear a lot of people bragging they didn't pay it.
It does include golf assessments, and we've been very aggressive in getting the golf assessment collected.
That's a question, should I ask it now?
Let's let everybody have a chance.
Yes, this past summer, one or two sewage trucks was parked down on Las Villas and around the beach side. Well, what is being done to correct that? The odor was really foul. That does not help sell condos.
No, it doesn't, and that's why we have to use the trucks from EDR so we can get those stuff out of there quickly. And they have to fill them, and then they get them away. And that's usually during the very, very busy times, and summer here is very busy. Mexicali folks come down here like crazy.
Okay. Is there anything that can be done to rectify a situation and possibly speed up the process?
You have to wait till the truck fills. I mean, you know something different.
We have been improving that process because in the past it was done directly from the faucet, let's say, to the tank. Sometimes when the wind blows, it disperses the water, so that was a very foul odor all around. What we did is we put a hose, attach it to the faucet, and then put it inside the tank. So that way when the water comes out, it's going directly into the tank. So if there is wind, there's no dispersion of the water around. From time to time, there are humans If they are not watching intently, some spilling happen. As soon as the spilling happens, we clean it up immediately, but sometimes happen. I cannot say that it's 50%, 10%, 3% out of the time, but it happens. We try not to do it, and they're getting better at it. You know that the STP project is on until we get the funding from the developer. That will be totally solved. Until then, we have to live with it, and we are taking out all the sewage out of the premises to the treating plant in town, which is outside of town on the left side. And we took it by trucks over there. And we don't use the main roads to avoid the smelling going around all the property. So we use the left side when we have a gate, and we go by the side of the property, and then we take over high and go outside. But we try to avoid the most as possible, and that's the way we do it.
It came back to me.
Okay.
It was actually a suggestion that, or a comment I made at the other meetings, and that is oftentimes during these presentations you refer to correctly that you should go to the website to find this information and so forth. Many people do that in great frustration in searching that website. In other words, it's not as simple as just signing into ElDoradoRanchHOA.com, Mexico and so forth. Once you're in there, there's a very confusing list of places to go. The least likely one that you would think of is the one you should go to, and that is resources. Everything, or almost everything, is under resources, including meeting dates, meeting, budgets. I mean, everything that you would expect to find under activities or under upcoming events and so forth. All that is not there, it's under resources. So that's the first place to go, even though it's the last place anyone would think to go, at least until things are redesigned. Once you're there, there's at least a 40-point long drop-down menu as to where to go, and that takes a minute or two to load, so don't think that you're done when you go there. Watch for that drop-down menu, and at the 2 megabits per second we get here, it takes a couple minutes to load. Once that whole thing is dropped down, and find what you want, and then there's an additional drop-down menu that will then take you to where you want to go. Either do that or phone a friend.
Okay. All right, we have a couple more questions, and we're running out of 5 minutes. So you have a second one, and I saw your
This may be common knowledge, but when the rental bracelets are given out, is there a certain number that a house gets or that a condo gets?
Yes.
So you can't bring 20 people and get 20 bracelets?
No. You cannot. You get the number that sleep, okay, here and then over here.
There are going to be questions at the end of the meeting itself.
Yes, there are going to be questions at the end.
There should be questions.
Thank you for the briefing, very detailed.
Thank you.
And what I concerned is when we start paying the golf fee, yeah, and I don't know whether it's a real promise by Mr. Butler said we only have to pay 4 years. So now it's probably 5th and 6th year now. So what's the status on that?
Okay, that's a different report, but that will come up later. Roberto will be talking about that. So if you can hold that question. Okay, Hala?
Hi. It's just a simple comment. The front entrance at La Ventana, where the fountain is, once upon a time it used to be lit very nicely at night, so when you're arriving you can see it and you know where you're going. The lights have not been on for the longest time. There's only one street light, and I think that's a bit dangerous. So can we have some more lights up there?
Roberto's writing it down. Yeah, you need to put in a request for action. You can do that online, or you can go over to the office and do that. Anytime you see something like that, you can do that. Okay. It does get put in a list and it's prioritized.
But that's important, because you could go right by Buchanan, not Buchanan Sands. That happened to me.
Okay, when you have company, yes, I understand. Okay, so there will be questions at the end of the meeting, so I'm going to turn the microphone back over to Roberto Islas.
Thank you, Denise. As our resident here on the left said, this is a very detailed and very informative resume of the activities of the Supervisory Committee. Thank you very much. Okay, the next point in the agenda is the nomination and election of one supervisor, a committee member in accordance with Article 66 for a 2-year period. In 2016, we put on effect a proposition that we will be sending out by email when we send the documents for the GA notice, that anybody who wants to run for supervisor can send their field form that we provided through the internet to my attention, and then I will present it to the committee of supervisors so we can review that the candidate is in good status with the HOA. That means that he pays his due, he doesn't have any fines, he pays his golf assessment, everything. And he doesn't have a violation in TRC, etc. So he is in good status. Then this year we already received one, which is from Mrs. Denise Lavin. So she is one nominee, but still there can be a nomination from the floor. At this moment, I open the floor for nominations. If somebody wants to run and somebody wants to nominate somebody to run for a supervisor, can do it now. Is there any nomination? No? Then I will ask if there is a motion to close the nomination for supervisors. Second? By voice, all in favor? Those not in favor? Very good. So we close the nomination. Now, Denise, can you give us a backup of your experience, please, before we go to the vote?
You heard it all before? Okay. I mean, if you don't know me, come see me after the meeting and I'll tell you all about me.
Okay, I agree with you. Perfect. So now we will go by ballot. Do you want it to do it by hand show? Okay, perfect. Let's do it by hand show. Those in favor for the candidacy of Denise? Okay. Those not in favor? Okay, so congratulations, Denise. You have been elected supervisor of La Ventana del Mar for another 2-year period. Thank you to everybody. Very well. Right now I'm going to present the expenses of the 2017 budget and the 2018 budget. As you know, I always do my presentation of the work that we have been doing, but Denise do a very good presentation on all of that, so I won't do it again, so I won't take more of your time. I will just do the budget. I'm going to sit over here. And I make it shorter than in EDI. Okay, the budget, as you can see here, we send this first page to everybody, and the documents we send out from the GA. So we have the first column is the budget of 2017, the projection year of that year, the budget of 2008 year, and the deviation we are showing the budget against 2017. As you know, first mention that I have to do is there are not a raise of dues this year in the budget of La Ventana del Mar. We are trying to keep it as lower as possible, even with the inflation. So in income, which is composed of annual dues, other income, which is, let's be just support, estimated collections, TRC, and resort fee. In 2017, in 2017 we have 967,649, and in the budget of 2018 we have 910,567. As Denise mentioned before, here is the base of our exchange rate. In 2017 it was 1775, right now it's 1750 for this year. At this moment, as she mentioned, the exchange rate is on our favor, it's over 18 pesos right now. Could be higher, could be lower. It is good for us or bad for us, depending how it goes. The expenses, total administration fees, are 158,780 in 2017, 163,790. In general maintenance is 448,202, 301,766. This general maintenance is lower because we have bought a lot of tools that make our workers be more proficient and more efficient. So it will be this difference very good. Next, please. In activities, we have a budget of 16,902, and in 2018 is 16,240. Security department is 102,568. In 2018 is 107,417. And indirect cost, which is contracts, and the IVA of the contracts is 239,230, 241,142, for a total of 967,649 in 2017 and 910,567 in 2018. This is a difference of 6%, sorry. So this is the general page. If you want to see all the detail, I can go that. If you have any question, I can answer it right here if you have reviewed the budget. Or if you want that we go page by page, we can do it as you prefer. So let's see the next page just for information. This is how we make the salary, and this is the way that the supervisors review it line by line item with us. And we compare the same pages, the same columns, I mean, budget, projected year, end of this year, the budget of 2018 and the deviation. So you can see that line by line, there is one for each one, and we review all of those ones. And here at the end is the same thing, the total for each one. If you have any question, I can answer that, or if you want that we go, it's just up to you. Yes, Ross.
A couple of questions on the resort fee. It's shown as 22.5, and as I understand from the previous talk, that's half. We get half, and then there was some other takeaway from that, and I forget what it was, or in fact,
Sewer treatment plant.
okay. So that, I'm losing it here. Why is that drop to 5,000 in the budget for next year from 20? Are we expecting no visitors?
No. It is
when Denise explained, she said that, let's say that we talk about 100,000 at this year. 50% is to the other side of the road in BMC, I mean in EDR. And the other one is here, so that's 50-50. 40,000 of that goes to STP plant, and 5 to La Ventana, 5 to Las Villas. So that makes the other 50.
I remembered as I said. Thank you. I apologize for that.
No problem. It's your right to the questions. Second one. Yes, ma'am.
How long will the sewer system last as is? Must be changes needed.
As long as we keep it taking out the water, there's no problem. The main thing is to take the water out, because we are processing the most we can, and the rest we can take it to the desiccation that comes from CESCO, which is the official water company of the state and the county. No more questions about the budget? certain companies can make some arrangement, but usually it's like Coca-Cola, Kimberly Clark, or that kind of companies which got people brought from the United States and they make part salary in pesos, part salary in dollars. That's usually the way of that. But here in San Felipe it is pesos. Any more questions? All right. So, gracias. So, after we review very fast the expenses and the budget, you want to vote by raise of hand? Yes, Jeff. Motion to approve the budget unit test. Oh, okay, yeah. Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye. Those not in favor? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much. The budget is approved. Then we have right now the review and ratify proposed golf course assessment of $469 per year for a period of 2 years. This was communicated in the agenda that we sent to you in the envelope what we sent from Concord to everybody of you. So the proposition says that, I will read it from here. Golf course assessment $469 per year for a period of 2 years. Contract can be found on HOA website at www.HOA Ranch. The Dorado Ranch HOA. Further, the developer has agreed to credit the amount paid for the assessment in 2017, 2018, and 2019 in the payroll of the management company CAM. So what this means is that the balance due in CAM is around $500,000, let's say, around. That's what Denise mentioned before. And all these assessment from 2017, 18, and 19 will be credited to the debt that the HOA has against CAM. So this will be a very good thing to deduct in that amount, which will be credited to the balance. So right now, I explained that. You have here the numbers from Denise before. We will go for the, do I have a motion?
I've got a question. Yes.
But we have to follow the procedure. There's a motion, there's a second, there's the discussion. So I have a motion to approve the, yes, there's a motion, second. Stands. Now discussion. Please.
Yeah. One of the problems that I had this time is that theoretically the golf course is going to be sold next year or this year, and yet you're asking for us to pay for this fee for 2 years. So I asked if we get that changed, and I was told no, because the word had not gotten out to all the potential voters in time to make that change. But when I discussed it with my wife, I find out we got the notice that we were going to vote on it the same time we got the agenda, which means it was already set. So therefore, if somebody did have an objection to the current contract or want suggestions to change it, it was too late. Can we correct that problem on any other subject of this type, as well as the golf course next time?
Well, what I was saying is, yes, and this is not the same time that something that had happened, that in the agenda, I mean in the meeting, we want to change the agenda. It had happened before. And the people who is outside, which is the majority, and many of them are paying their dues as residents who live here all the time are paying too. It's, they have to have the same opportunity. And if we change the rules right here at this moment, they will have any...
You misunderstood my question, or my request. My request is, if you're going to have a fee that has a contract such as the golf course, that you notify the ownership before the agenda is set out that you're going to put that item on, so you would have a chance to respond before it's too late to change it.
This document went out with all the documents that we sent.
It was too late. It went out with the agenda. The agenda was already set.
Yes, but at the moment you receive it, you can send your commentaries to us.
Yeah, but I can't change it because it's already been sent.
Okay, I agree with you. Yeah, you're right.
I'm just asking to have those sort of things sent out ahead of time.
Well, we will do. Thank you for calling our attention to that. You're right. I misunderstood you. You're right. Thank you. So, any other commentaries? Yes, ma'am. I will make a note of that.
In addition to the CAM credit, which I very much appreciate, thank you. Are there any other changes in the contract which we should be aware of?
No, the contract is the same as it has been the years before. The last one.
It would have been nice if the minutes from the golf committee had mentioned anything about the contract. I read them regularly.
Yeah, we didn't discuss them at the meeting exactly because that's the bulk was dealing with the investor on the money, and as a matter of fact, one of the things that Pat said before is that if the investment came in, the golf assessment can go out. I don't know if that's still on the agenda, but I think so. It is, because Pat offered it several times. So if the investment comes in, he says we will wait it out.
Let me make a comment on your question. Number one, I think he had a great idea, and with our newsletter, since we kind of do know, the newsletter requests any items that you would like discussed at the General Assembly. But if we already know, what we should do is publish what we know or we think we're going to publish in the agenda in October in the newsletter. And if you have any other additional items you'd like us to consider, then granted, we will or will not, depending on whether we want to, what the item is. Second, I'm going to make one correction. The contract is the original contract. Last year, Martha, as well as some other owners, had some complaints about the wording in the contract because we changed the golf passage usage over the course of the 4 years. So we amended the golf contract to pick up some changes, such as the exact rules of how to use the pass now, because they're not the way it was in the original contract. Plus, the original contract didn't even have how the passes were going to be used. So now we've added all that. There were some other changes to it, and I believe the amended contract is on the website. If it's not, we will make sure it's on. Pardon?
The amendments there in the original contracts. The original contracts labeled the whole dates.
Right. And then...
You need to know exactly what you're looking for.
Right, and so this vote that we take is an extension of the existing contract. So the minutes will reflect that, hence the contract doesn't get signed every year.
The biggest change is that if non-payment is, or payment is not made by either party, then the contract is not canceled, which was in the previous agreement. That's probably the biggest change.
I don't mean to make any comments here, but I will. So if the owner, if the new investor, their idea of the golf course is to brand new golf course. So if they did what they say they may want to do, is to make it a Jack Nicklaus signature course, then there will be no $469 a year. It'll be about $469 for a player to play. For a round. So that's okay with all of us. So there'll only be a couple of us playing, which will be very nice because we'll still maintain it, it'll look beautiful, and our property values will go up. And but that's what's been talked about. Not any guarantees that will happen, but we have had
question. This is review and ratify. Now, do we do that now? Or do you take these pieces of paper, on which this is our ballot?
Yes, we can do it by ballot if you want. If you prefer, if everybody prefers, we can do it by ballot.
Yes. Well, you can't have it both ways. So,
No, we can choose. We can choose. If everybody wants to do it by ballot, we do it by ballot.
I prefer to use the ballot.
Okay? Very well. So if, well, Mr. Rose wants to say something else too.
I asked a similar question at the developers meeting about access to committees such as the golf course committee and so forth, so that we can present alternative ideas before it's too late to present them. And he was most certainly open to that. However, it is more of an HOA issue, so I'll bring it up here. I think that access should be available, and I also think there should be perhaps quarterly open access to supervisor meetings. We have a wealth of knowledge in the thousands of people that live on the ranch. There's doctors, there's lawyers, there's engineers, there's everything. And these people do not have easy access to the committees that make these decisions. So I'm not sure how it could be put in place, but I'd like it to be put in your notes that an effort be made to have a periodic open access to these meetings, and that everyone be aware of it, so that this gentleman who had ideas on the golf course assessment, and I have multiple ones myself, so we have an open platform to present those ideas before it's too late to have them appear in meetings.
Okay, I make a note. We will be working on this. We'll get in contact.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
For us, we don't play golf, so we are more concerned how long we have to pay year after year the golf fees. If this golf site was sold to other investors, do we still need to pay more, or do we pay less, or don't pay?
What I said before is what pay.
¿Ya no vamos a pasar el slide?
I think so.
Porque ya se lo va a mandar voleibol a gente.
I mean, first of all, she's bringing me a Chinese investor. Make the phone call. And secondly, that he would like to have some more of an open forum access of information, ideas, and I agree 100%. I have no problem with that, and I really trust, not that we need to form a new committee, but you're the chairman. So whenever you want to have those meetings, seriously, you should talk to Roberto. I think it's a great idea. I'll be very accessible for that, and I do think it's a good idea. And so, seriously, let's have a couple of those meetings a year. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. We've got a lot of very bright people here. And, frankly, this ranch and you guys support a very big part of this whole community, the whole town, San Felipe, and that's very well appreciated. So anything we can do to make things better, I'm all in favor for, and seriously, if you would like to chair that type of committee, I would be very open to it. Thank you.
So this golf fee that you mentioned is only for this 2 years, right? Correct. So
Yes.
after that, it depends on the new owners.
Yes. All right. Yes, ma'am. Over here, David, please.
Can I just, oh, sorry. I brought this up again on Thursday along with Ross and this gent lady. I think that golf fee for us should go away, but be an amenities, not now in America, fee, so that it's spread over both sides as well as the condos, so that we end up with a reserve to keep going with not just the golf course, but the swimming pools and anything else.
That has been discussed in the past. We will do something more in the future about that. I think so. There is, yes, ma'am.
I don't mind taking the $469 and paying off the camp. I don't want to do it with the golf course and paying for golf, I don't golf. And the mountainside will maybe give me $200 for it. I really object to us being really charged for it. I don't mind paying it if we're going to pay off camp. But to do it the back way, I don't like it at all.
Well, this is going to be credited to the balance of the debt of camp. That's what is the proposition.
Yeah,
that is it.
would still give all the dollars to use the golf course almost nothing. They don't pay hardly anything but $1.25 per round of golf. And where...
Use the mic.
Sorry. They're at 311 rounds of golf for 469, something like $1.25 a round of golf. And they pay us on the mountainside maybe $200. That means they get the golf for 50 cents a round of golf. That's what's irritating to me. If they would pay the full $469 and then I'd give it to them, that would be not a problem. But if you want me to pay $469 to help pay off camp, fine, but just leave out the golf course. Just don't have it anymore. Just tell us we have to pay $469 and we'll do it, but not with the golf course.
Well, this voting is for the golf course itself, like it is planned and presented. We cannot change it right here, right now. It has to go, but the credit will go to camp. That's a deal. Yes, Jeff.
As regards this amenity suite, which I proposed 2.5 years ago, it is still on the table. We have put it to all the supervisors, including the mountainside, because it is only a fair way of distributing everything that is used on the ranch. Not just golf courses, tennis courts, pickleball courts, swimming pools, all need future maintenance. There's nothing set aside anywhere to cover the cost of anything going wrong. So I proposed a yearly fee 2.5 years ago, which we debated at length. It's still on the table. We're going to have further discussions about it, but that is the way forward for the ranch, that everything is paid for by one fee, and it was a yearly fee. The community I used to live in, we used to pay a monthly fee for maintenance of everything. All I was proposing that we have one yearly fee added on to the HOA fee, which wouldn't be a huge amount of money, but it would cover the cost of everything that we use on this ranch.
Okay, I am noting down that proposition. Mr. Ross has another comment.
Just one quick question. Supposing we've approved this 2-year deal, and that's done, okay, so, and I understand that. But it's approved as it exists. Can it be, if one of these ideas is presented during this year, in plenty of time for next year's meeting, can the next year, in other words, the year that currently we just approved, 2019, can that year be modified to whatever new or better deal should there be one, and assuming that there's no investor involved or that whatever investor may be involved wants to continue the fee? Can that be changed, or by us voting it in, it's fixed in stone? I see no reason that we couldn't modify whatever we just agreed to for 2019 should a better idea be presented, because certainly one of the ones I have is one that I think addresses all these issues on spreading the wealth and or at least lowering the fees and that sort of thing, and yet still coming up with the aggregate amount of dollars that it's required to maintain the golf course.
The answer, Ross, is yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, there is a question.
Yes.
Are there any more discussion? And yes, here is it.
So I want to clarify, we have 2 properties on Ventana, and neither one of us play golf. So we're trying to feel good about paying this golf assessment fee. I heard that true?
The pool over there, yes.
So they took an assessment to build a pool that's over on the mountainside.
I didn't understand that.
It did come out of the HOA budget.
Yeah, it came out of the budget, yes.
Yeah, I think we need to start combining things so that there's not so much territorial, like, we did this, you did that, especially when on this part of La Ventana.
Yeah, let me say that this was the past, and it is like it is, but yes, that's what we are discussing right now. We are discussing that maybe we will institute amenities fees that can be shared. So we are starting to talk about that, but this is today. Yeah, this is from now on. We will have to work on that still. David.
Just to clarify a little bit on the community center on the other side. Back a few years ago, whenever it happened, the agreement was, and I'm as sorry as everybody that the recession happened, but it happened. I contributed the land, the HOA at the time, and a vote brought before the whole ownership base was that I would contribute the land and that we would start to take out of the ownership, the annual dues fees that were paid, that we would, little by little as we can do it, start to build out the community center. So the pool was built out of, and the tennis courts were basically built. I contributed some, but most of it was from the HOA fees, Eldorado fees, and we started to build the community center out. The land, that land can never be used for anything else but a community center, and I dedicated that land on a forever basis for a community center. So that's kind of how that happened. Now, when we built the golf course, I spent the $11 million to build the golf course. There was no assessment to anybody to do that, okay? Basically, we built it, and then of course, when things went south, then we came up, it wasn't really my idea, it was the original golf committee idea to come up and say, hey, what we ought to do to try and maintain this thing the best we can is do a small assessment to the ownership on this side of the highway for the golf course, and the idea that Jeff has, and he's got a lot of experience with this because he used to live in the villages over in Orlando, Florida area, where they've got like over 90,000 owners at this point. And those guys have 6 or 7 golf courses, and everybody pays a flat fee for all the amenities that are in that particular property. I think it's a fair and a good idea, and I'm, really want it to be more fairly talked out. And I think what Ross is talking about, having a committee to brainstorm some of these things, I think that's an agenda item that should be on that list. But that's kind of how we got to the community center and stuff. Thanks.
Okay, now if everybody is in agreement, we shall go to the vote. Yes, ma'am.
I noticed that on the ballot, one of the options is, I approve with the modifications and changes put forth by the Assembly in case they're different than the original document. So I would move that we add a statement to the document that says that this agreement is subject to change at the next annual meeting if there is a viable alternative offered or vote.
I think the thing that Ross proposed, and what happens is if we approve this, and between now and the next General Assembly, a better idea comes up, like an amenity fee or whatever, we can, what's the word I'm looking for, cancel, we can amend or cancel the golf assessment contract and implement whatever the new program is. And that can be a motion at the next meeting. So we can get out of the 2 years if the motion is made to decide to go to a different program. Because we're not, this vote doesn't amend, well, there is an amendment already to the original contract. So if we don't mark the first one, it's going to get confusing. But we can, next year, come up with a better idea and cancel the vote we make today. Amend the vote we make today. Yeah, and I think we're right, Ross, we're right. I'm thinking of maybe like the days, you know, granted, Roberto does his town hall meetings every quarter, but maybe on an alternate quarter, we have like we call it a brainstorming session. We'll have our supervisors, a workshop. And the supervisors have those outside of our meetings just to talk on one topic and really like tear it apart a million times to come up with the best idea. So maybe we do 1 a quarter of just those workshops where we announce it and you send us what you want to talk about and we have the right people there that need to make those decisions. It's normally the supervisors. If it's going to include golf comments, we'll bring the golf committee. If it's about architectural control, we'll bring the TRC. But I'll work with Roberta to put a schedule together with that, and people will know in advance. But we want to know the topics in advance. We just don't want everybody in a room, hey, I have a new idea today. It's better when you have a workshop to talk one idea out at a time, or maybe 2. But if you throw too many topics, nothing gets done in the workshop. But Roberto and I will put together with the supervisor when we do our annual calendar next year. I'll put 4 of those meetings, 3 of those meetings in, because this time of year it's all GA stuff. So. But I'll put 3 of those together, and we'll have a workshop.
Yeah, I think so. That's a very, very good idea. So we can all share those ideas.
So, just to advance this a little bit, Ross, so it doesn't get lost in any transitional stuff, that let's have the first meeting on December 1. No.
Too soon.
But I'll do it as soon as my calendar girl will allow me.
You know my email, just let me know.
Yeah, now if you want, if you agree, we will go for the vote by ballots. So we can ask our friendly clerks to, do you want to do it by both?
Who's this?
Ballot, everybody says ballots. Okay, let's go by ballots. Mr. Hanston, you pick up ballots, please, too, with the people. David, faltan 2 sillas allá atrás para que cuenten, por favor. Hello, we are back. I have the results of the ballots on the golf assessment. Your attention, please. We have the results. Okay, there was 23 people who voted, approving it 17, disapproving it 5, and 1 voting for modifying it. So it's 23 votes, 17 are approval, so the motion is approved. I really thank you all. And now we go to the next point, which is concluding the business for the ordinary assembly. Thank you. Second? Those in favor? Okay, those not in favor. So thank you very much for being here. Now we have a session of questions if somebody might want to say something, make a question, whatever. Sure.
Thank you. Roswell, and I got properties on both sides. I'm hoping maybe it can be found in the budget. Those of us that are familiar with real estate or whatever know the expression curb appeal and first impression, this sort of thing. And I remember the first time I came down to La Ventana, a little over 8 years ago, and we drove in the front gate. And at that time it was well lit, as somebody has mentioned out here. Plus, all the palm trees going down had those light ropes on them. And it was like something out of Vegas. And it just blew us away, just the visual of that. And then I know in one of the HOA meetings that they were talking budget, the electricity bill and so forth, and those came down and weren't lit anymore. Well, technology's changed a lot, and I think if they went to LED bulbs and so forth, I think the electricity would be a small issue at this point. And I think it would be well offset by the benefit of, again, the curb appeal and the first impression of those lights being down that road as you go down there. And I think it would also increase the safety issue in that road would be better lit at night. The only downside might be the few homes that are along that strip. I don't know if those lights bothered those people or not. And of course that would have to be taken into consideration. But I suggest either putting it in the budget next year or seeing if there's room to do it in the budget this year.
Yeah, we will check on that because yes, you're right, they are a lot better and they are not as expensive and they don't consume so much energy. We'll look into it. Thank you, guys. Yes, sir.
This is kind of a small item, but since we're talking about presentation of books, quite frequently we get employees from the other area of EDR come over the front entrance here. They park in the front of the building. There's a parking lot in back. Get them to park there, and therefore that front stays clean, nice looking, neat, instead of having cars parked all over different angles.
Some of them are from property management companies. We will talk to them, so they will be aware that they cannot park in the front. They have to park in the back. Yeah. Yes. Once at the gate, we will assess that. If there are no more questions, I really thank you for being here and see you in February in the next town hall. Thank you very much.